projection.
Welcome, everybody, to Taking on Sports, your favorite sports podcast. I am TD. That is Greg. Greg, how you doing this week?
I am good, sir. How are you?
I am pretty good. Nice Sunday afternoon, watching some football. Can't really complain.
Most definitely.
We will start in the college game, as we usually do, folks, with an Alabama victory over Auburn in the Iron Bowl, 49-27. Wasn't always pretty. A couple sloppy moments, a lot more of the dumb penalties. One that particularly pissed my dad off that I got a very angry text about was the 12 men on the field coming out of the timeout.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
So, but that ends Alabama's regular season. Should be a New Year's Six Bowl coming up. Maybe more if you listen to certain people. We'll talk about that a little later, the playoff things. But locks up 15 straight 10-win seasons for the Tide. That's a record. Third straight Iron Bowl victory. Only the second time Saban's done that. They have won 7 out of the last 10 Iron Bowls. Anything to say on it, Greg?
Well, it's just, always good to beat Auburn, no matter what it's in. So, of course, we've had some disappointing other rivalry games, so they definitely needed to get that one, which, of course, we did, especially considering probably Bryce's last game. Didn't want to have him go out without another Iron Bowl win for sure. There were moments that we looked great. The defense I thought was very soft. I guess that was my really only complaint. I mean, Auburn ran all over us. If they had a better quarterback, it may have been a scarier game.
Yeah, if they had any semblance of a passing game, for sure, it might have been. Yeah. That was definitely some worrisome. We talked about that with the LSU game and Jaden Daniels. Like, we know it's a running quarterback. We know that's primarily what he wants to do and what they're going to do. And we seemed kind of unprepared or just not coached up in it or what. I don't know. We didn't set the edge, didn't really have contain. I don't know if we weren't doing spies or what, but too much.
Yeah, they ran for almost 300 yards yesterday. I mean, that's quite the boatload.
Yeah, that's a lot. And, like you said, luckily you had no passing game whatsoever, or else we could have been in some danger. But Bryce did Bryce things. He looked great.
Man,
you said
he looked great. Outside that weird interception, fantastic finish to great career.
And as you're saying, alluding to, definitely probably his last home game for sure. Maybe his last game ever. Do you think if we just go to, say, like a New Year's Six Bowl, do you think he'll opt out, protect that body for the upcoming draft?
He's a pretty competitive guy. It's really hard to say, just because of he wants to go out a winner. Of course, he did in the Iron Bowl, but I think he wants to always have the utmost respect of Bama, the fans, and everything of that nature. I think it's gonna be a tough decision for him. I could see it going either way. I'm pretty 50-50 on it right now, but honestly, I'd say save yourself for the draft. You've done everything you can do for Bama. We much appreciate it, but we'll see what he does in this coming up weeks.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely, we're both in the same camp there. We understand that these guys have millions of dollars at stake, and the bowl games aren't what they used to be. No one's, I'm not going to be upset if he does decide to sit out the Sugar Bowl, because Sugar Bowl ain't what it used to be. Maybe back even when we were younger in the 90s, maybe, but for sure our parents, that generation, you didn't sit out the Sugar Bowl because it meant something. But now, especially with the playoff,
that's just part of the playoff.
Yeah,
unless it's a playoff spot.
Exactly, and that's
understandable.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is, and that's kind of how. I think I bitched last year. I think Kirk, Herbstreit of all people, was complaining about how we focus too much on the playoff and not. We don't allow room for, like, hey, you can still have a great season without a playoff. Obviously not as Alabama fans, but in general. And I laugh because I'm like, well, your employer is a big part of that, Kirk, because all their narrative is around, if it's not the playoff, then it's not important. But
exactly.
I'm not going to get mad at it. I will definitely, again, kind of put my own ideal out there. I wrote a article, I think it was sometime during the middle of the season or right before it, about that we should move the big bowl games like the New Year's Six, the Sugar Bowls, once the playoff expands. All the games should be on campus except the title game. And then all
Oh
those bowls, like the Sugar Bowl and stuff, I think they should move to the beginning of the season. Replace those kind of, Chick-fil-A kickoff games. And you can still do
yeah,
your
interesting.
conference affiliation. So if you wanted to match the SEC
Yeah.
champ and the Big 12 champ or whatever in the Sugar Bowl from the previous season, that's a
Oh,
great
that's
kickoff game, I think. And
for sure.
it would mean
And you
something.
could,
You wouldn't have this problem now that the reason I even start
oh,
talking where players sit out, because we're probably going to have, I wouldn't be surprised if Bryce and Will Anderson both sat out.
yeah.
Um, and, a lot of
Maybe even
people,
Jameer.
yeah, right. A lot of guys that have, a lot of money at stake don't want to get a dumb injury that sets them back and, drops them from a first round pick to a third round pick, because that's millions of dollars you're
Exactly.
leaving on the table.
Right.
And there's plenty of people upset and like, oh, it's not a team game. You stick around team. And I get that to a degree, but also, I don't know, if we're going to tell these kids that, the bowl games aren't
Yeah.
important if they're not part of the playoff, then why don't we do something to improve them? Moving to the
And
beginning of
that's
the
the
season. Yeah.
right. I mean, that's the expectation set. Of course, everybody's not on Bama's level. We all know that.
Right.
But right now, in the midst of where we're at in the last decade, I mean, it's national championship or nothing. That's the precedent's been set. Fair or not, that's where we're at. So it's not going to change until after Saban's retired, and then
Mm-hmm.
there'll be probably some time to get the next thing figured out. But until then, it's championship or bust. That's just where all great dynasties get to.
Yeah,
Fair or not, that's just the way of the world in
exactly.
sports.
And like we said, yeah, like that's obviously we're in a lucky position to
Where
be
I mean,
like
we're in
that.
the yeah. I mean, where you look at us. I mean, we're like the Florida States, the Miamis of the '90s,
Mm-hmm.
championship or bust. So, really, if you want the national champion, it was a really a successful season.
Mm-hmm.
May not be fair, but that's where we're at.
Yeah, that's
And
where we're at. But so yeah, maybe the last game, if we have, it's a hell of a 2 seasons for Bryce Young. Heisman
yeah,
Trophy, SEC title, and
national title
yeah,
appearance.
national title
Mm,
appearance, which probably could have won with if he had his receivers healthy.
yep.
Uh,
And then you look at it too. I mean, can you imagine where we're at without Bryce this year?
ooh,
At times, single-handedly. I mean, he had some help, but I mean, it took us to a different level. I mean, we were unfortunately probably have realistically more than two losses right now
mm-hmm.
without Bryce.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just where we're at.
yeah, absolutely, no doubt. But yeah, so and he leaves with a lot of records and close to a lot of records again in just 2 seasons time.
Compared to people that were there longer,
Yeah,
both SEC wise as well. I saw he got getting close to Tebow's all-time records.
uh-huh.
Quite the run.
It is. But all right, that's that. Like we said, a third straight Iron Bowl victory for Alabama. Auburn moves on to try to find their coach. We'll go back to that later. We'll talk about a bunch of coaching stuff.
Oh, buddy.
We know who it won't be now. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just doing our usual conference recap, we'll just hit the big stuff this week. We'll go now to Columbus, Ohio, where Michigan. Yeah, exactly. That whistle. I don't. It was a close game for what 2.5, almost 3 full quarters,
2.5.
and
Yeah,
then
I
ooh,
think we'd have a classic type of ending as
mm-hmm.
you would expect in a 2 versus 3 undefeated heated rivalry game. And man,
But Jim Harbaugh now gets his second straight win over the Buckeyes. Michigan, a
man,
second straight Big Ten East title. They will go to Indianapolis. They'll play Purdue. Should have their playoff spot locked up, but they just turn on the Jets. Two huge, both 60 plus, 70 plus yard runs in the fourth quarter to put it
man,
away. Michigan wins big. Uh, I would think, everyone's talking about if so and so loses, Ohio State still has a shot, but I mean, they're not a playoff team to me as much. Their
I
big
mean,
win this year, their big win's Notre Dame, and that's a 4-loss team. I mean,
and Penn State.
and Penn
I
State,
mean,
who's only has
they're
2 losses,
okay.
but yeah, like how impressive actually
They
is.
lost. There, I mean, you look at Penn State's record. Who they played, yes, 10-2 is always nothing to thumb your nose at. But you look at they lost both their big games pretty convincingly to
Mhm.
Michigan and Ohio State.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. So, uh,
It's not their fault that the Big Ten was down in some areas. Probably may have been bigger games in previous years, or what we've come accustomed to. But that's just the way of the world. Penn State lost and really wasn't in either game after halftime, at least in the Ohio State game.
no, yeah. So we'll see how that shakes out.
Be interesting, but
It will. Two other teams thought to be pretty much locked to the playoff. Well, Georgia is definitely a lock. I think win or lose against
oh yeah,
LSU. They handled their business at home against rival Georgia Tech. A little bit of slow start. Georgia Tech actually scored first.
right. You got out to that quick 7-0 lead and
Yeah, and that was it.
hung around for some of the first half. But yeah,
Yeah.
Georgia.
Jo-
It's one of those things. It's like, oh, that's cute. It's nice, but
yeah.
you know where this is going.
Too much talent. Yeah, too much talent on the Bulldog sideline. Uh, yeah, that's basically all you can say about that. Georgia's just too talented for that rivalry at the moment. I don't know how many straight games they've won, but I'm sure it's a lot now.
I think it's been since Kirby's first year. I think 2016 Georgia Tech did beat them, but they
Oh,
weren't. You know, yeah, but
no, not the same team. Yeah,
yeah, nothing.
yeah. Well, Calvin Johnson ain't walking through that door, as they say.
Yeah, exactly.
TCU handled their business at home against
Ooh,
Iowa State big time. They
put
put
up
some
some
style
style
points.
points.
Yep. There you go. So they will go into the Big 12 title game against K State. Um,
Yeah, and that's
every
that's the one thing. That's the only thing that worries me for TCU. I mean, it's always hard to beat a team twice in a season, no matter
mhm.
who you are or what the thing is.
Yeah, exactly. And then they seem like they're on the thinnest ice as far as the committee too. It's like the committee's just waiting for an excuse to drop them.
Man,
Um,
that you hate to see it, but yeah, I mean at the any, and I think even anything other than a complete dominant performance.
mhm.
I mean, if they go undefeated, yeah, I don't think they could drop them, but you're just waiting for that, waiting for it to happen. I mean, sadly, that's just where we're kind of at. More so, not because of TCU, but just because sadly the just a national brand name and what they would expect the crowd, the numbers to be, both in stadium and also just watching the game.
Yeah. Um, yeah, there's not much I can add to that. Out west, USC, the Trojans moved themselves one step closer. Comfortable win over Notre Dame. Irish got a late
Yeah,
score, make it look closer than it really was.
right.
Kate,
Kind of dominant.
yeah, kind of very dominant. It was only about 10, 11 point victory, but it, like I said, Notre Dame got a late touchdown to make it that close, and it never really
Yeah.
felt like they had a chance.
Mm.
Caleb Williams putting on his Heisman
My,
show. Yeah,
yeah, he
probably
may have locked it up last night.
for sure. Yeah, even if he just has an average game for him in the Pac-12 title game on Friday, he should lock it up. Um, but
Sure.
yeah, dominant. I think he rushed for what, 3 touchdowns. Uh,
Yeah, he did.
yeah, showing off all facets of his game.
His stat line has been crazy the last month.
Oh yeah, he has really turned it on. Really starting to click in that Lincoln Riley offense.
Yeah,
The Trojans defense stepped up a little bit against a hot Notre Dame offense. You know, they've been scoring
he
a lot of points lately.
almost got 40 a game for the last
Hmm.
month.
Yeah. Behind, or actually, I guess one spot ahead of USC in last week's playoff rankings, the Bayou Bengals of LSU. Yeah, we kind of alluded to it last week or maybe the week before. I know I texted some friends about it, talked with Blaine about it, but A&M did it. They upset LSU, and it wasn't particularly close.
Not at all.
They had the game that everyone thought they'd be playing every week all year, and Brian
Yeah,
Kelly.
where's this Aggie team been?
Yeah, exactly. I know if you're an Aggie fan right now, you have to be upset and wondering where the hell this team has been,
Most.
where that offense was, just moving it up and down the field. LSU, they finally kind of have that Brian Kelly game,
Yeah,
big
that
moment,
one
and
weird.
yeah, just a weird game.
It's like they are just happy to be already in the SEC championship game. They didn't really seem into it. It was just kind of going through the motions for most of the game. I mean, there wasn't a bunch of hype. I don't, I
No, and it's
don't know.
Yeah, and it's like a forced rivalry game, but it's not, and it's had its moments for sure, but it's not like
Yeah,
a
traditional
huge.
rivalry.
Yeah, it's not like they were going into Tuscaloosa or even Fayetteville or anything with
Right.
under
Yeah.
the lights. So you have to wonder, yeah, exactly what the coaching staff are doing, especially with a chance at a playoff, as many people were talking about if they
Yeah,
could
because
upset
you got to
Georgia.
think about right. They would have been. It would have been hard to keep LSU out of that fourth spot.
Yeah, if they had
Uh,
upset Georgia. But now I think even with the Georgia win, you can't put a 3-loss team in there, particularly when two of the losses weren't even close, and one of them was to what, a 5-7 team.
Yeah, I mean the A&M team that just hadn't won an SEC game since the Arkansas game in September.
hmm
Man, I mean it's not even a good loss. And then the other one at home. Yes, Tennessee is a much improved team, but they dog walks
Yeah,
LSU
yeah. So that's end of LSU's national title hopes. They can still get an
2 years.
SEC title, but I don't foresee that one. Of course, you never know.
You
Uh,
never know. It's crazier things have happened. Championship Saturday, weird things have happened, as we know. But that's one of the ones that I think, if out of all the championship games on Saturday, that'd be the one that would be the most shocking.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't see another one that would surprise me more. And then I guess a big win for the A&M fans because they rushed the field for beating
They did rush
LSU.
the
Yeah,
field. Yeah, I don't.
yeah. So I think I mentioned on Twitter last night that's a doubly funny result to me because for the one, the obvious laughing at LSU as an Alabama fan, like yeah, they beat us, but then what did you do with it? You went and lost to A&M and
Yeah,
blew your shot, and then two,
it's like those guys in Knoxville.
yeah,
What you beat us, and now that's all you have to talk about.
yeah,
Congrats.
good for you. And then two, you just know that now next summer you're going to see so many of these. A&M ended
Oh
their
Lord,
season on a high note. They're
same,
they're back. They're ready.
same height.
So that'll be fun to watch. Yeah, I'm sure. So A&M, look for A&M to be preseason top 10 again next year.
Oh yeah, look what Jimbo has when they're all on the same page
Yeah,
and all the young talent and this, that, and everything else. Exactly.
yeah. Elsewhere in the SEC, uh, played in an ACC stadium, but South Kakalaki,
Oh,
the November champs. November
hey,
champ, South Carolina.
wow.
A game I turned off. I was 14-0 Clemson. I was
Yeah.
just sitting with the kid. I was like, all right, I'm gonna put this Michigan game on. I'll flip back and forth these other games, and then
Right.
next thing I know, South Carolina's getting interceptions. The receivers are
Yeah.
making big catches,
Man.
and they go into Clemson and upset their arch rival. I'm sure they broke a long losing streak of their own there.
Yeah, that was the first one I think since 15. I think it's been like 6 or 7 straight since Spurrier second to last season there.
Mm, insane. Knocked those Tigers out of the playoffs. So two Tigers get knocked out of
What
them.
you like to see in rivalry.
Yeah, exactly.
Rivalry
Oh,
week.
they partied hard in Columbia last night and
You
probably still
know it.
doing it today.
Yeah.
Uh,
No one's up.
not only what third straight victory over a ranked team, getting your improved to what 8-4 is now what they finished the regular season at, and then you
You
knock your
can't.
arch rival out of any playoff chance. Uh,
Yeah, I mean that's the best. The best possible way that Clemson could have ever, South Carolina could have ever ended this season
mhm.
on that high of a note. I mean, there's so many questions after that Florida game, and they just bounced back, blew out Tennessee, beat your arch rival finally.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think Shane Beamer, if he continues with this momentum and gets a little more consistent in some games, watch out. South Carolina might become a force because he is going to get the talent. It's just a matter of putting it all together, I think,
Yeah.
on a weekly basis.
They seem to be buying into what he's trying to do there, and so maybe a little revival there in Columbia. Um, we mentioned Kansas State earlier. They beat their rival Kansas. I don't know about what 20, 47, 27,
And it's
something like that.
pretty
Yeah,
pretty handily there.
pretty
So
handily. So they clinched their place in the Big 12 title game. They'll try to go upset TCU and knock them out of the playoff, get revenge for their loss earlier this season. Um, Thursday night, the Egg Bowl delivered again. We talk about it, most
That again.
underrated rivalry in the country, pure hatred. Uh, and State knocks off Ole Miss as the Ravens get a touchdown and take the lead back. Here we go.
Definitely a fun one there in the rain on Thursday night.
It was a 2-point win for the Bulldogs when it was said and done.
Yeah.
Just a wild ending, yeah. State going down to clinch the game, up 8. Will Rogers fumbles at the 1-yard line. Ole Miss drives 99 yards for the score. They take 2 timeouts before the 2-point conversion, and I don't think it was the shovel pass. You know, that little, you've seen so many teams run it. It's like
Yeah.
they show a speed option look, and then a tight end or somebody cuts to the inside, and they do a little shovel pass, and it's wide open. The Chiefs love running it.
Oh yeah, they do.
But the play design of Lane's particular one was just not well. And it was a great play by the Mississippi State lineman. He kind of stayed and, he took the option in the shovel pass and made a great play to knock it down. But
Right.
it seemed like everybody was too compact. They need to spread it out more or something. But so the Lane train derailed, but he will not be going to Auburn as many people thought.
Well, not be going to Auburn. Yeah.
He will be getting.
And it was so funny.
Mhm.
End game on the message boards. They started off pretty flat, and the man. Oh, he's so he's definitely going. Yeah. You know how go into a last game and kind of come out flat. I think a lot of people thought it was finalized,
And he was
and
not.
get some gave some weird answers there, but yeah, he's staying around, and I think good for him. I mean, I just don't think it's a good fit. I think he realized, hey, this isn't what I want to do. I'm much more happy in Oxford.
For sure. And he'll get the bag from Ole Miss too.
Oh yeah,
As they say,
I
it's
don't know.
a state law prevents any state employees from getting longer than 4-year contracts, but they'll work around that with boosters and et
Oh
cetera.
yeah,
And
they'll
he'll
get
get
that figured out.
basically a 9-year contract. I think he'll be bumped up to 9.25 million a year.
Oof.
So yeah, Lane happy in
I mean, not
Oxford for
bad
now.
for
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, not bad considering you almost left. You lost your rivalry game. Didn't end the season as very, very well, but still in good situation for Lane.
yeah. Elsewhere, rivalry week, Florida State took care
That
of
was a
their.
fun
It
one.
was a very fun game Friday night. Unusual time for that game, but fun.
All right.
But they get the win at Doak. They have a chance for a 10-win season. Used to be
Yeah, I haven't
used to
seen
be
that for a while.
commonplace. Yeah, it used to be you didn't even have to look up. You just knew Florida State was going to get 10 wins, and
Oh yeah, that was pretty common for a long,
so yeah.
almost what a 15-year run there. You pretty much knew.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's big things for Florida State there. Both Mike Norvell got his first uh, winning season there, going to at first looked like a mid type of bowl. May get a New Year's Six bid at this point, just with how hot they've been over the last month, and that even bigger win just with recruiting.
Yeah, you never know. They might sneak in the back end of that New Year's Six bowl. The very
Because I
least,
mean, it's
probably a
still a
citrus or something like that. But
they're still a big name, still
mm-hmm.
carry weight. The fans will definitely travel. They're happy to
Mm-hmm.
be where they're at there. As we saw, they also rushed the field against the six and uh, 6-6 Florida team. But I understand where they're kind of coming from. It's been a tough little 10 years since Jameis,
Yeah,
pretty much since Jameis left.
yeah, because it wasn't exactly that next season or two wasn't exactly great for
Right.
the Seminoles. But that's all I had as far as our recap. Nothing else I can really think of to touch on.
I would I would like to talk about real quick that Oregon game.
Oh yeah,
31. Oregon finally officially Oregon with use of the Ducks choking, and they did it in the craziest fashion. Up 31-10.
yeah,
Yeah, lose the game. Had 4 plays within the 3-yard line to punch it in at the about 4 minutes left in the game, and got denied by the Beavers.
yeah. Not only blew the 21-point lead midway through the third too, so it wasn't like that was in the first quarter.
Yeah.
No, they midway through the third and they were controlling the game.
Yeah.
Then they get down, have the chance to win. Like you said, got stopped on the goal line stand, 4th and goal. But for the first 3 plays, I took the ball out of Bo Nix's hands.
And just ran the ball.
What are you doing?
After got after get stuffed that first time, at least run a play action,
Or a
something.
read
My
option,
goodness.
something to give your best player, the guy who's carried you all season, let him win you the game. And then they get down to
Right.
4th down where the defense knows it's like, all right, they're going to have to pass it here.
Right.
And he
Oh
has
man.
nothing. So yeah, just not a good finish to the season for Oregon,
No.
losing to their 2 big rivals, Washington and Oregon State, blow their chance at a playoff.
Don't even get to be in the Pac-12
Yeah,
championship
blow
game
their
anymore.
chance at the Pac-12 championship because we talked about their other big rival, Washington. They won the Apple Cup and sent Utah to the Pac-12 title game.
Utah to play rematch with Ohio, with
USC,
USC.
yeah, and yeah. Let's talk about those title games. We have I think every conference has a title game now.
Yeah,
But
everybody has one.
yeah, but so next week we'll go ACC. We've known this for a few weeks now. Clemson and North Carolina.
Both coming out big losses.
Yeah, North Carolina disappointing loss to their in-state rival NC State.
That was a crazy ending too.
It was, yeah. NC State finished stronger than people gave them credit for after losing their quarterback
Yeah.
Leary. That's a ball out. Got a prediction for that one?
Well, that's a strange game coming into. I mean, both coming off tough rivalry losses, but you would have to think that this game is. I think the loss for Clemson, it's gonna be hard. I think it's gonna be hard for them to rebound. I think Carolina might take that pretty handily.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know what the Clemson mindset's gonna be. They're out of the playoffs. They lost to their arch rival. They don't even run the state anymore. I mean, I can see it going both ways, but I think that I think May is going to have a big day. I think that they might actually North Carolina is going to be the ACC champs here.
Interesting. I actually might agree with you on that one. If it were a bowl game and Dabo had that time to prepare, I might take Clemson just to finish strong. But just a week to prepare. Like we said, they got a bad loss against their arch rivals at home, and then they lost any shot they had at the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think North Carolina
Yeah.
could sneak in because North
Let's see.
Carolina, they really, not that Clemson doesn't care about the ACC title, but North Carolina, those guys, those players are
It
really going
means
to want to
it
win it.
means a lot. It's
Mm-hmm.
a lot bigger feat for North Carolina to win the ACC than Clemson. I mean, it's still a
Absolutely, yeah.
much bigger game. And yes, it may not end it as well, but you got what is North Carolina 9-3 on the season there. So I mean, it's still a big season for
Mm-hmm.
the Tar Heels.
Yeah. We'll go from the ACC to the AAC. Tulane going into Cincinnati, beating the Bearcats, and they will host the
Big
American
win.
Championship game against UCF, who tried their damnedest to blow a game to a really bad USF team wearing some Arena League
Ugly.
looking uniforms.
Ugly.
Ugly. And like
Wow.
not even like that highlighter Oregon neon green. Just like I said,
No.
it looked like an Arena League team out there.
Yeah.
But they blew a 28-0 lead. USF did what kind of USF does, and they choked it away at the end. Hell of a catch by the UCF receiver. A one-handed twist in, got his foot in just inside the pylon. So UCF will go to New Orleans, and they will play Tulane in the American Championship game next.
Did you see how long it had been since Tulane had beat a top 25 team?
Oh,
It's like
like since the
decades.
40s or 50s or something. Just
I was like I
unbelievable. Yeah.
understand that they haven't been the most powerful team, but I didn't realize it's been that long.
You would have figured during the Sean King year too, when they went unbeaten, that they would have had at least
Right? They
one team that they beat, but no. So
yeah.
now,
I mean, they went undefeated with Bowden and Sean
mm-hmm.
King, and
And now you know why that team didn't get any BCS looks. All right, Big Ten game. We know this. Michigan will play Purdue. The Boilermakers, 8-4, are making a Big 12 title game. This up there with the LSU over Georgia. This would be a big shock to me if Michigan
Yeah, I
lost this.
mean,
Purdue just good team.
I
They don't have the horses, but they do have a penchant for beating big teams. So you never know.
they
Um,
do, but I mean, Michigan. I mean, they know what they're playing for. I think Michigan's in the playoff regardless. Uh,
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I just don't see it.
neutral field.
I expect them to be able to run all over Purdue and
Yeah, they should push them
do what they've done
around.
all season.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do what they're built to do, which is push people around, control the clock, uh, keep the other team's offense, off the field.
All right.
Um,
Probably a little better than last year's game, but I mean, because they absolutely obliterated Iowa last year.
yeah,
But and I expect more like a maybe 42-17 type of game, something
yeah.
like that.
Oh, going back, yeah. What you're picking? Tulane, UCF.
Tulane UCF. That's a rematch game there. UCF won in Orlando on the last by 7 there. I think in New Orleans, I think Tulane pulls the win,
Yeah, I'm gonna
and
go. I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna go with the fighting Willie Fritz's home game.
they've had a good season. I've enjoyed watching them, and hope that they can pull it off and be the highest ranked non-power five and get some New Year Six love. That'd be great for the program.
Yeah, chance for them to hop in. Disappointing with the LSU loss. Of course, like we said, LSU could always actually upset Georgia, but maybe a lot of people I think were hoping for maybe a little Tulane LSU Sugar Bowl matchup, but
Oh man,
we'll see. So we'll move on. Michigan, I think both of us are in the Michigan camp,
oh
obviously.
yeah.
Big 12 title game, TCU and Kansas State and Arlington and Jerry World. I like the Horned Frogs. I think kind of a team of destiny almost. And especially with the way they played this weekend, they really, I mean, was it 62-10 over Iowa State, something like that?
They obliterated the Cyclones.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm with you there. It just seems like everybody every week. Oh, this is the week TCU loses. Oh, if TCU loses, who's going to move up? TCU doesn't belong in the playoff. They keep on answering the bell. They hear it. They're a good team. Yes, they don't have the sexy name that other teams have, but they've had a heck of a season. You can say all but the Big 12 really isn't that down. It's not as top heavy, but the middle is a lot stronger than what it is at times. Yes, Texas and OU aren't at the top of the league, but I'd say it's a much better Big 12 than what we've seen in previous seasons from top to bottom.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I
and
agree.
it's pretty much a home game there in Arlington.
Oh, yeah.
Fort Worth, probably 15 minutes away. And it's gonna. I think they're really gonna show up for this squad because I mean this is unprecedented thing for TCU. The last time they went undefeated, they went out to the Rose Bowl and beat Wisconsin. And that was what 2010. But I mean this is much bigger than that. So
No, no. Yeah. Sorry, looking at the Ravens, trying to blow another lead here late. It's close. I think he lands out of bounds, though. He gets the 1 foot, but then his knee and all that stuff comes. Yeah, he's out.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I was watching NFL and I switched over. I've been watching what's halftime now, but Bama and Carolina in that third place game.
oh, yeah. How's that looking at halftime?
We're up at half, so
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
much better than what we did on Friday night. But
Yeah, the damn UConn, been
yeah,
torturing us since we were in school, but it was
yeah,
close for a while, and then
yeah.
UConn decided they wanted to pull away.
Right.
Conference
Wait,
USA title game, two all Texas affair, North Texas versus UTSA. I really don't know about either team. I'll say UTSA to win back-to-back Conference USA titles.
yeah. I mean, honestly, I've watched UTSA a little bit. They've been pretty friendly to me on the parlays this season. They've actually had a pretty successful season, but yeah, I think they're just the better team there. Got a little scared yesterday there against the UTEP, but
They did. Let's see. We'll move on a little Maction, Ohio, Toledo. Not our Mac that used to be with Roethlisberger and Omar Jacobs and guys like that
and,
quarterbacking.
and Leftwich. And,
Oh yeah. Ooh. Who you got in that one?
I think I I'm gonna go with Ohio Bobcats.
Yeah, I think I would pick them too. I believe they're the favorite. Mountain West Conference will be Fresno State and Boise State. I haven't watched much of that conference this year. I'll pick Boise. Strong program.
Yeah, I would go on Boise for Fresno down a little bit this year. Um, it's, probably, you know, I watched a little Boise. They're not what we once knew Boise to be, but I mean, there's still a solid thing. But it might be an interesting game.
Yeah,
Probably lower scoring than what you might have thought. It, when you think Boise State, you think of high scoring affairs, but this might actually have a lot more defense.
yeah,
But I think Boise State pulls it off.
might be one of those old school slugfest type games.
Yeah,
Let's see. We'll move Pac-12. We mentioned USC. Oh, they rolled it a touchdown. USC gets a chance at revenge against Utah to avenge their only loss of the year. If you don't remember that, it was Salt Lake City. Utah went for the 2 point in the
yeah,
win and
but
got it. Uh,
heck of a.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that first one, a heck of an ending
Oh
there.
yeah, great game. Um, I think the Trojans handle business here. They got revenge on their mind, neutral field in California, so they'll probably have a little bit of home field advantage. It looks like
Right.
Jacksonville is going to go for a 2 point in the win of their own. And why not? 3-7. Uh, yes, I think the Trojans handle business, lock up their
Oh
playoff
yeah,
berth, lock up Caleb Williams Heisman.
yeah. I mean, they're playing for a lot. I mean, not only of course the revenge game, but also yeah. I mean, there's so much in front of them. I mean, and this would be huge considering where they've been for the last 10 years.
Mhm.
This is huge for the program in this first season. If Lincoln Riley's able to take this team to the playoff, I mean, we expected good things from it, but to actually live up to those expectations, I mean, that's a quite impressive in the long run.
Indeed. It makes you wonder why USC just waited so long to pull the trigger on Clay Helton.
Yeah, I don't
Seven
know. I
seasons
don't
there
know.
just wasted. You got to figure
Yeah.
at least, the
After
last
three or
three or
four,
four,
you
yeah.
kind of know what you have. I mean, it's not. I mean, he had a couple of solid seasons, but yeah, you could just tell it wasn't ever going to be what USC wants to be.
No, yeah. All right, let's see here. Jacksonville going for two in the win over Baltimore. Shotgun lined up. Got it. Easy. Just a simple out route in the goal line. But you can't get beat there. So it looks like the Ravens defense will blow another lead. I don't know if they were ever up 10 in this game now, so at least it's not a 10-point lead. But barring a miracle with 14 seconds left, granted they do have Justin Tucker, so you never know.
Yeah, it's amazing what these teams do at 14 seconds sometimes.
And two timeouts, but we'll see.
Yeah, you never know. We've seen crazier.
That is also a big loss for Baltimore, considering Bengals won today, so they will be tied on record in the AFC North.
The Bengals, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they held on against the Titans.
Yeah.
So that's a big win. Yeah, not only for that, just for solid win for the Bengals there. Considering some of their injuries right now,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good one. And the Titans were hot, so
Yeah. Back to college real quick. We mentioned Georgia, LSU, SEC title game. We're both Georgia, probably comfortably. Sun Belt will be the last one. Coastal Carolina and Troy. I'd like to think Coastal. They did get blown out yesterday against James Madison, but I think they're a better team than Troy.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the state team. We'll go with
The
Troy, but
Trojans.
Trojans of Troy. Who knows? But yeah, I was kind of shocked. I mean, James Madison's a good team, but I was shocked Coastal got waxed like they did. I mean, they got obliterated.
Yeah. Let's see. Well,
But yeah,
let's see. Baltimore got the return out to about the 40 there with 10 seconds, two timeouts, a couple long passes, and you're in Justin Tucker field goal range.
there you are.
So it is that time of year in college football. Not just the Heisman in the playoff, but the coaching carousel really speeds up, and we've already started. Like we mentioned, Lane Kiffin will not be going to Auburn. Odds-on favorite seems to be Hugh Freeze, despite the protest of a few Auburn fans I've seen that don't want his
Yeah,
questionable
I've
off-field
seen.
stuff on there. But he seems like a
Yeah,
perfect fit
and
for them.
there's seems like it, but there's seems to be a growing. And I've talked to some Auburn alumni. There seems to be a growing group of folks protesting. I guess maybe are allegations of even covering up sexual assault at Liberty. So I don't know where that leads, but who knows with Auburn.
Yeah, that's it just seems like you wouldn't, especially with the Bruce Pearl and then last year's mess with Harson. Like, why do you invite it? So the Ravens do get uh and close to they get close enough for Tucker's going to attempt it.
Hmm.
It's probably going to be what, another about 60-yarder here.
Ooh.
67-yarder. Justin Tucker trying to break his own record, longest field goal in NFL history. Let's see here. It is up. It is short. Could not do it. No. So
Hmm.
he looked. I mean, he had it
Wow.
straight.
It looked like it was going for
Yeah.
a second. Ooh.
You know he's not happy about it. But all right, coaching carousel. So we mentioned that officially. We do know a couple things. Matt Rule is officially in at Nebraska. That's a good hire for them. That seems like a really good fit.
Yeah.
Um,
It was interesting being here. Just the names were getting thrown around and what people wanted. Not sure if Matt Rule was the most popular. I think some people wanted the more flashy, more of the instant hype. But I think he'll be the most consistent thing that they need. And if he sticks around and builds it up a little bit, at least get these guys back to a bowl game. I mean,
mhm.
they're overall too power of a program to at least not be going to bowl games.
Exactly, yeah. And they got too much support there, too many
Yeah,
resources, yeah. And he should make them a consistent, division
at
winner,
least
or I guess
they
I'm sure they'll get rid of divisions, but at least
right.
make,
But
yeah.
until you, I guess what USC and UCLA probably have, what, 2 more years. I mean, they should. There's no reason next year they shouldn't at least be uh, in the mid. If things go as I think they probably will, these turnaround programs pretty quickly.
Hmm.
That they're at least in the mix for the Big Ten West, which is, as we know, not the toughest division, but a
No.
big win for them on Friday. Knocked off their rival. I would have put them out of the Big Ten
Hmm.
West game, so that's a good way to end the season for overall a very disappointing season in Lincoln.
Yeah. We also, other Big Ten news, Wisconsin sources looks like saying that
Uh,
they are going to take Luke Fickle from Cincinnati.
Luke Fickell.
That's a really good hire for them.
That
Um,
is a huge hire.
mhm.
He's quite the coach, I think, Alan.
Yeah,
You
tough
know,
tough loss for Cincinnati going into the Big 12 to lose a guy like Fickle, but they seem to have good
yeah,
luck with coaches outside of that,
they have
outside of Tommy Tuberville. That weird one to me.
outside of yeah. Yeah.
But
I mean, you got to think. I mean, most programs would have died after losing Brian Kelly, but
mhm.
they.
And they kept chugging along. Um, David Shaw resigned at Stanford after 12 seasons. And I had what, 3 or 4 Pac-12 titles and Rose Bowls, but just the last few
Yeah.
years they've really struggled. 3-9 this year, just seemed to
I
lose
thought it
it.
was. Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny. He had a couple of rants about the SEC and about how it's so much harder to win out there, and
Hmm.
this thing kind of fell apart after that. I thought that was kind of funny,
Yeah, it seems like maybe he just needs a change of scenery, or
but
uh,
he said he's done coaching, so who
no,
knows?
who knows? Yeah. At the very least, Stanford needs just a fresh look at the program.
Fresh start, yeah.
Um, Elsewhere, like everything else, is mostly just rumors and
Yeah,
stuff. The big rumor that I've
Arizona
seen,
State.
yeah, Arizona State, they hired Kenny Dillingham. The only
I
positions
don't
that have
know
been
how.
full right now, so Luke Fickle seems to be official, Wisconsin. Matt Rule to Nebraska. Biff Poggi to Charlotte. That's a hell of a name. And Kenny Dillingham
Yeah.
in Arizona State. So our openings are still Auburn, Cincinnati, Colorado, FAU, Georgia Tech, South Florida, Stanford, Texas State, and UAB now.
Hmm.
Um,
And Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of rumors of a lot of things. I mean, people are saying that Dion's interested in Colorado.
Hmm.
Don't understand that at all.
No.
And maybe that's just talk. Who knows? I know that there was talk about him at USF as well.
Hmm.
I mean, that'd be interesting in the state of Florida. But I just think what he's doing at Jackson State's better than anything he could do at those programs at this time. So
Exactly.
I,
Yeah. Like,
I wouldn't move.
yeah, I wouldn't leave Jack State just yet. I understand eventually he'll probably want the challenge and hop up to a big program and the money that comes with that. But
Right.
I don't think, yeah, like you said, Colorado or South Florida is not your probably not
No.
your best option. Colorado was one of my favorite schools to play as and on the NCAA games back in the day because of the uniforms.
Oh
But
yeah.
this ain't.
That was cool
Yeah,
uniforms.
and there is potential at Colorado, I think, but I think you would need a serious commitment from boosters and stuff to raise some
Yeah.
funds to improve your
That's
facilities
somebody.
there because that's a great town, a great location. The fans do support them. You can pull in recruits from Texas and California, but I don't think it'd be a good move for Dion like you.
No.
Um, Other rumors I've seen that I really, 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 really hope are true are that Bill O'Brien is the leading candidate
He's
for
at
Georgia
Georgia
Tech.
Tech.
Yeah.
I don't. I just hope that that's not that has more legs than I don't
Well,
know.
I'll tell you what,
I
he
just
certainly called plays yesterday like he was auditioning for it because that offense,
yeah. I was like, where's that been all year, Bill?
good play calling. Like I
And he
don't think
was
I had any complaints offensively. Play calling,
no.
the only like really the
That's
worst thing I seen was Bryce's weird interception and he missed a wide ass open Jameer Gibbs on one throw
yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
oh man.
And then Jameer had the whole field.
Oh yeah, that would have really iced the game. Probably would
Oh
have put
yeah.
us up with like 56-20 or something. I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah, like we said, Hugh Freeze seems to be leading candidate at Auburn.
You know, uh, real quick on that. I I mean, if I'm Auburn, why not go Cadillac?
Yeah.
I understand he doesn't have the experience. It's new to him there. But just the passion. I mean, you saw that on that sideline. He was so alive yesterday. Like, I
Hmm.
mean, you like to see it. Yes, it's our rival. And, Cadillac whooped our ass. And there's always that disdain of Auburn, Alabama. But on a professional level, I mean, what he's done has been fun. And he brought in some excitement to the program. There's a lot of people that really like him. And everybody's like, oh, he doesn't have the experience. But there's these guys that get these jobs that have been coaches their whole life. And I mean, they're not winning national titles. They're not winning. Why not give the guy who loves the program a chance? I mean, I mean, we have the cookie cutter fit. And I saw a funny thing, basically, showing a dad opening up a present of he was wearing a flannel shirt and it was like Gus Malzahn and opening up the another flannel shirt for Christmas and saying that was Hugh Freeze, but it was the exact same thing. But I mean, sometimes get out of the cookie cutter mode because what can it hurt? Because there's only one national champion every year. I mean, so many. This is the next big thing. Have failed so many times. Why not just see? I would rather see and know that it didn't work than leave that question. But I don't know.
Yeah,
Why not?
yeah, exactly. No, I tend to agree. Like the players obviously love him. He obviously is all he's 100%
He
Auburn.
loves
He
the
loves that
program.
program.
You
He
can
loves
tell that.
coaching. He's all in on that. Very the kind of family Jesus-y part of that Auburn has. It's kind of weirds out some other people, but why not keep a guy that's so popular with the fan base, with the
Yeah.
players,
Yeah.
just really motivates it, and throw that money at coordinators. If
Right.
Cadillac's not the
'Cause
greatest X's and O's guy yet, if he's still young in his coaching career, why not take
bring
that
it.
money and throw it at some really
Bring it.
good coordinators, expensive coordinators?
Right. Because at the end of the day, all great head coaches have excellent assistants around them.
And they delegate. They know how to delegate. It's the best head
Right. They
coaches.
know how
Look
to
at yeah.
delegate. I mean, you look at some of Saban's staff, and like the 2015 national title team was ridiculous.
Hmm.
His time at LSU when they won the
Oh,
national title, that staff
ridiculous. Yeah.
ridiculous. Like, yeah, you affiliate with great assistants, and you have a guy that doesn't have any black marks on his record.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard anything negative about Cadillac.
Mm-hmm.
And Hugh Freeze has questionable stuff, and Auburn. I think wants to get away from that. And why not go with the? I think for them it's a home run hire. It's Auburn. I'm sure that they'll mess it up because that's just what Auburn seems to do. But that was another meme I saw. It's like the Auburn fan base wants him. The players like him. The recruits seem to like him. The Yellowwood guy. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go with Hugh Freeze.
Yeah.
So yeah, who knows? Maybe they'll just do the funniest thing and hire Bill O'Brien. That would probably be the funniest thing.
That I think that would implode the program later. That would be so funny.
Oh man.
Oh man, the trolling that would happen from Tuscaloosa.
Oh
Boy, oh
ooh,
boy.
boy, yeah. So that'll be interesting to see that. I'm imagining that the Auburn job is probably the first domino that will, cause some of these other jobs to fill up, and depending on where
Yeah,
assistants go. It's also kind of really the only true Southern job.
right. Yes,
Mm-mm.
not a lot of openings because a lot of people are young in their tenure. Were
Mm-hmm. There's usually one
doing
surprise. There'll probably be one surprise firing or retirement or something somewhere in here.
right.
But yeah, the only
Yeah.
other true Southern job that's out there is Georgia Tech and
Well,
UAB.
UAB,
UAB and a lot
which
of
might be interesting.
it could be. I think there's a lot of momentum for UAB's interim coach. I think people
Yeah,
like him here, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see where that goes. It'd be interesting, like we said, Cincinnati moving to the Big 12. That's a big hire. That's a huge hire for that program. You got to get that right going into a new
and
conference.
yeah, and I understand him going back to the Big Ten and Wisconsin being a more money than Cincinnati,
Mm-hmm.
but if you look at where they've been, is that really? I mean, it's really other than the money aspect and of the second most respected Power Five conference.
Mm-hmm.
It seems more of a lateral move, but
It kind of does, and it's definitely a tougher move because now you got to go through. Not if they keep the divisions, you don't have to, but with USC and UCLA seemingly coming in, there's a lot of talk in UCLA camp about trying to stop that, at
right,
least on their end. But if and it seems the way that just in general, um, all these conferences are going away from divisions and
divisions,
going into scheduling pods, basically like 3 permanent opponents and then rotate the
right.
rest.
And then you have your two best play every year.
Yeah, so
It's gonna be
Wisconsin,
hard.
you would figure
It's gonna
you'd
be
play
hard.
Minnesota, Iowa, and Nebraska. I
Maybe
don't
not.
know, but
Yeah.
you still to get to the conference title to win it, you still got to go through Michigan, Ohio State, or Penn State, and so even though
Or
the
and
Big
then
12 is
USC.
improved, yeah, the Big 12 is improved, but there, it's not you're losing the juggernauts of the conference.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Well, unless TCU
We
is the new juggernaut. So
right. Yeah, but the another interesting thing and why I don't know if I were Luke Fickle, I would maybe stay at Cincinnati. One more loss to Michigan, and I think Ryan Day is out the door. And Luke Fickle's, from Ohio State
yeah.
guy. I don't know. I might stick it out at Cincinnati just to see where that goes. I mean, it's not it hasn't been official signed ink yet, but I think, if I'm him, I might wait and see where that happens because, he was gifted a program.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in perfect condition. I mean, Urban left it as good as you can expect, and he's just living off the riches of Ohio State. I mean, do we even know if Ryan Day is a good coach? Honestly, like,
Those are all fair questions asked. Yeah. But yeah, so we'll see. It should be as always fun season to watch. We'll see
oh,
how
but
much
yeah,
movement
I guess
between the.
ESPN is saying that Rittenberg saying he told the Cincinnati team that he's leaving.
Oh
So
yeah,
I guess
yeah. I was
we'll
reading
see.
the Athletic article where they're saying it's official. And they've already
Yeah,
talked about. Let's.
that's a good hire for them.
Mm-hmm,
I think he's a good coach. He's really, had Cincinnati in the playoff just a year ago, and the amount of talent they lost and could have very well been in the championship game had they won yesterday.
and this is a couple interesting names on this. I was just reading the Cincinnati candidate. Who could possibly
Hmm.
replace him? Matt Campbell, Iowa State is one. I don't know. It might be a little jump up. I don't know. You're going to a team that's coming into your conference. That seems kind of, I don't know.
Kind of weird.
Yeah, unless I don't know how
And
much.
he's a legend outside of this season. I mean,
Mhm.
he's had quite the success and a legend in Ames. I don't know
Yeah.
if you leave. I don't know. You know, if Iowa State can. I mean, I would assume they're probably similar in what they do money wise.
Hmm.
So I don't know what that move would be. I know he's been always in talks. I know there was a lot of people that wanted him in Nebraska. So I mean, it's a name. He's a name that always comes up,
Hmm.
but that'd be a weird one.
Yeah, but like you said, he's pretty much comfortable there because there's not even a whisper of his name being fired after a bad season this year. But
I mean,
and the other
he's
one
had
is Tom Herman.
Oh, that's an interesting name.
Yeah, I don't know what he's actually doing these days. But he was the offensive coordinator at Ohio State forever, so he's got experience in
Yeah,
the area.
yeah. He knows how to recruit that
Mhm.
area, so that'd be interesting.
And then,
And honestly, I mean, he had a tough out at Texas. I mean,
yeah,
went. I don't know. He
and
didn't win the rivalry games, but he won the bowl games and was always 9-3, 8-4. Just didn't get along with that money.
yeah, and then one last interesting name here they've listed a guy who Cincinnati graduate whose son played on the Cincinnati baseball team and is now a quality control assistant with the football team. His sister is the vice provost there, Urban Meyer. That would certainly be a great
Wow.
hire for Cincinnati, but I don't know if
You want
anybody's
to
willing to touch him after the messy end
after
to,
what
yeah,
happened in Jacksonville?
after
Yeah, like
Jacksonville,
even if
yeah, the weird,
even if after the Ohio State thing, that wasn't
mhm,
to that bad of a level, but that whole Jacksonville, yeah, I don't know if you want to do that. And then also, I mean, do you want to put your just because he's not a long term guy, he's only going to be there 3 years, 4 years max,
yeah,
just because that's what he does, even in big programs.
hmm, exactly, yeah. Yeah, I think you're better off getting a kind of a Luke Fickle type, a younger guy who they might
Yeah,
eventually leave you for a bigger job, but will at
but he's
least,
going to build it up and
yeah, will
leave you in
establish
a
your
good
program.
spot.
And who knows, going into a power conference, especially
Yeah,
with the
going to
expanded
bigger conference,
playoff. If you're a
right?
team like a TCU Cincinnati, you're on the brink of being a yearly playoff competitor. If you can
Yeah,
finish, 1, 2 losses every season, win your
for
conference
sure.
title every few years, yeah.
Yeah, you're moving to 12
Hmm.
teams. I mean, you got to think like last year. They of course made the regular playoff, but you go undefeated in the Big 12 or one loss in the Big 12. I mean, they made it out of the American to the playoffs. So yeah, with a 12 team expanded field, man, yeah, they have a good chance of every year being somewhere in that fight for maybe 7 through 12. Who knows?
Yeah. But all right, we'll move on. No power rankings for the NCAA. This, no really point in it at this time. I think we'll just talk about. Do you expect? All right, so right now the playoffs we would think would be Georgia, TCU, Michigan, USC in some order. Do you think that'll change after next week?
If they all win, I don't see how it could change.
Right. Yeah.
Other than you might flip. You could maybe say, you might flip the order,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, I would have to think, and I put a little Facebook post up there. Have to think, going into it and being that there's upsets, you'd have to think Georgia, then Michigan, then TCU, then USC if things go as
Hmm.
chalk, and that's some intriguing matchups. I mean, Georgia playing that high-powered USC offense, and then TCU Michigan might actually be a fun one there.
Hmm.
So that could be some interesting playoff matchups.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really see any of them losing. I think we'll keep the 4. I think if you were just going on merit, then USC would have to be your 4 seed and play Georgia. But you do wonder how much TV controls and how the matchups they try to get. If they wouldn't maybe try to slide TCU back into that 4 spot so they could get a
Fourth
possible.
spot,
They could get a Georgia
Michigan, Georgia.
USC title game or a USC. I tell you what, if one of the semifinals was in the Rose Bowl, we'd be guaranteed Michigan USC in it.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, you know it,
yeah,
you know it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, just about yeah. But I mean, you look at it either way. I mean, you're either. But why wouldn't you want to see like a USC Georgia semifinal? I mean, that's just
Hmm.
spectacular in itself. Considering more than likely you're going to get a Georgia Michigan national title, which carries weight nationally.
Hmm.
And it's not they can't say SEC bias, and it's going to gain more national attention than the Alabama Georgia has over the couple of times that they played in the national title. So either way, I think that they're good how they would do it there. But
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think that's a great semifinal matchup. And then there's so many possibilities. If UFC pulls the upset, then then it's no
then it's even big. It's even better.
yeah.
And
And
I
they have
mean,
a chance. The title game's being played in Los Angeles. So they have a chance to play. Not a home game. It's at the SoFi Stadium, not the Coliseum,
right?
but still a hometown
Yeah, you have
game.
to think
You could
have
have the
quite the
USC
crowd.
Michigan matchup. You have upstart TCU could win and play the behemoth Georgia. There's a lot of interesting matchups there.
I think it's a lot, and I think people are still thinking TCU's kind of that mid-major type, but this specific team, I think just with the firepower they have on offense is going to be um, much tougher than what we saw with even like Cincinnati last year.
Yeah, for
So
sure. Yeah, and I think either way, I think it should be some fun games.
some good matchup.
Before we move on to the NFL, we will talk. So I mentioned earlier that there's rumblings, and they had a graphic up and during the game yesterday that Alabama could sneak their way back into the playoffs somehow. I don't see it, even as a Bama
Oh,
fan.
but
Like
no,
like
like
everyone would have to lose, like all four of those teams, and then at what point, if they all four lose, do you not just go, well, whatever? They're
well,
still all four
I
in,
mean,
you know.
and then even then, I mean, 'cause we don't. I mean, you look at it. Even then, I mean, at that point, you'd have to think the committee would still look at Ohio State
Mhm.
because I mean, yes, they didn't win the Big Ten, but they're sitting at one loss. We have two. You're still looking at. I mean, I would think you would still kind of think about Tennessee a little. Yes, they got blown out in Columbia, but they did beat us as well. So I mean,
Mhm.
our probability is so little, and it's funny to see because people are so tired of us. The anytime it's brought up, people get so angry by it that it'd be fun to see people's head explode. But no, and just honestly, we don't deserve it. I mean, just the way we've been winning some games recently. But yeah, I mean, the way we got eaten up on the ground by Auburn, it may not even be a pretty game against Georgia, honestly.
No,
Sadly to
yeah.
say,
Yeah.
I think just let us be, let us go enjoy wherever we go, and go from there and build on that for the 23 season.
Yeah, and one more, the resume. Like, what's our best win? Ole Miss. That's
Ole
yeah,
Miss, Texas, like
yeah,
nah.
not great. But my point, the whole point with it, and I've said this many times on Twitter and such, and we know why they do it because they want the TV ratings, they want that kind of
Oh yeah,
money, but they don't need to release weekly rankings. It's just dumb.
no,
They don't need to do it. College basketball doesn't do it. They
no,
don't release a bracket every week. And so when they
yeah,
do though, when they have those rankings, they put themselves into this corner. So now if you have
yeah,
Alabama at 5 or 6 this Tuesday, which Alabama will be at 5 or 6 this Tuesday,
yeah. Now people are like, oh my God, they're trying to put Alabama in the playoff.
exactly. And if you just didn't release these weekly rankings and then you just had a selection show at the end of the year, you could just be like, hey, these are the four best teams that we've picked over the course of the year using all these metrics, blah, blah, blah. They just do it because it's for TV, which is dumb because ESPN could still put out a weekly like playoff
Yeah,
watch show and get just as many eyes. And then that
exactly.
next Sunday, that show would be insanely watched. That would get
Well,
huge ratings. It's just
yeah,
dumb.
but you know why? But I mean, I know why they do it because, of course, they're going to get the. It's more for the weekly talking points,
Yeah,
and of course, throw out the name Bama because you either love Bama or hate Bama, so it's going to bring a conversation either way.
exactly. And
So,
then
I mean, the committee knows exactly what they're doing, even keeping us around. But
yeah, and Georgia's going to be the same way in a few years. Like, or at least they appear to be. When Nick Saban retires, someone's going to feel that you always have that team that and.
someone that always
Mhm.
someone always turns into the next bad guy. So
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, they just do it to themselves, so I don't feel sorry for them. But and my thing is, what they should have done all along is they could have kept like the BCS formula, similar to how college basketball uses the RPI or whatever has replaced the RPI now.
yeah.
But you could have this formula and you could talk about that every week. But the selection committee is
Hmm.
like, we'll tell you what 4 teams make it at the end of the season, or what
Yeah.
12. So I think that's a big thing too. Is I think there's still a huge push to try to get that playoff expansion for the
Right.
24 season.
Yeah, and
Um,
then yeah, definitely once we get to 12 teams, there's definitely no reason for a weekly show
no,
because then half your top 25 is in the playoff.
yeah, and
What's the point of
yeah,
that?
you know it anyway. But so we'll see. So yeah, hopefully they get that expansion done. It was another fun regular season. Just one more year left of the SEC on CBS, and then we're free.
Free of Gary.
Free of Gary, free of him questioning every day. Blaine made this point a few weeks ago, and it's just once he said it, it's like unlocked it, and you get it. But he made a point that Gary Danielson just thinks that questioning literally everything happening on the field is what announcing should be, and it's
Right.
so annoying because that's all he does. Was that a catch? Was that down? Was that not a penalty? It's just
And he just loves it. Yeah.
it's
And
exhausting.
he's always,
Yeah,
yeah. And he seems to love to do it, especially with Bama.
yeah.
I'm shocked they didn't show the kick six like 3 times yesterday against Army.
Yeah. But we knew after that happened we'd see that the rest of our lives. But should be
Yeah.
it for the college game. Big, championship week coming up. But everybody should handle their business. So
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
get into our NFL um, talk here with our power rankings. I guess we'll do it a little quick because we spent a lot of time on that college game there. I'll just give you my rundown. You give me yours. We'll talk about it. I got, of course, after these early games, this will all shake up. But I moved the Vikings down
Right.
to 8 because I just, this was not counting this Thursday's win. It was counting last week's just ass whooping
Woohoo.
at the hands of your
Liberation.
Cowboys in Minnesota. And that was my notes. I was like, you can't get beat like that at home to another playoff team. And like, no, that's just,
Especially Dallas coming off that embarrassing loss
mm-hmm.
at Green Bay. Like, yikes.
Yeah. So that's, not a good look
Yeah.
for Minnesota. 7, I had the 49ers. They're getting better every week, I think, and they're still talented. 6, I had the Ravens, and note under that was still worried about the offense. The offense did what they were supposed to do today. The defense blew it again. So after a few good weeks, the defense back to their old tricks. Then I had your Cowboys at 5. That's best defense in the league. It was a great win for them. And then they got another one on Thanksgiving. 4, I had the Dolphins. They held on. Houston put a little bit of a comeback in the second half today, but the Dolphins, another win. 3, I moved down the Eagles down there because they're still struggling on offense. That a couple games in a row now, barely got away from the Colts. They'll play the Packers tonight, I believe. That's tonight, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the next game.
So you want to see them kind of, after losing Dallas Goddard, you want to see them get back on, rhythm in that offense that was just plowing through people the first half of the
All
season.
right.
2, I had the Bills. I did put my big worry for them now is how is Von Miller done for the season? Is they're gonna lose
Yeah.
him a lot because that's just such a big key of their
Usual.
defense.
Oh, yeah.
And then number 1, the Chiefs. And my note with them was just the only looking at their schedule, the only game I think that they're really in danger of losing in the regular season is the Bengals. So they could go on a real roll here. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I had. How about you?
Yeah. I mean, similar, of course, with the teams, just a matter of a little different. The 8, I finally got the 49ers in there. Yeah, they're getting healthier. They blew out the Chargers last week, so I'm looking. They're a scary team, and maybe, honestly, the the most dangerous team in the NFC if they're all healthy at the right time. So I do have them at 8. 7. Have drop the Vikings down to the 7th spot. Got blown out last week. Rebounded, but close game. Um, against the Pats on Thanksgiving. Only, I guess the most worrisome part of that, they actually made the Patriots look like okay offense. So maybe a little worrisome there. Maybe Pats threw for over 300 yards. So a little worrisome, but they, still control their destiny as far as the North, and still a good team. Just a matter of getting bouncing back from that Dallas defeat. But I think they'll be all right. Then at 6, I have had your Ravens there. They're just playing good football. We're playing good football. We know they took the loss today, but kind of gotten away from losing games late for a while there. But I think they'll be fine. But it'll be interesting the home stretch with them in Cincinnati in the North. After that, I have Dallas. Good bounce, 2 bounce back wins after that embarrassment in Green Bay blew out the um, Vikings on the road last week. Complete domination. Got a huge division win on Thanksgiving against the Giants. Got the sweep there. And then at 4, I have the Dolphins. They're just playing with Tua. I mean, they're just winning games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're and quietly. I mean, they're gonna possibly be in the entire AFC picture there. It's always been Buffalo and Kansas City as the favorites, but the Dolphins quietly right there to win the be the home get home field advantage. So who knows? But they're just winning games. 3, I have the Bills there. Bounce back after that loss to Minnesota. Maybe a little closer than what you would expect at home on the road this on Thanksgiving against the Lions there, but got the late win. Sometimes in the NFL, there's no style points, and everybody's getting paid big money, so it's pro athletes, a lot of pride. So of course, it's not going to be a blowout every week, and I think people forget about that sometimes. But they're still a heck of a team. Yeah, that's you mentioned the injury. That's he was the leader of the defense, really up their passing attack, their rushing attack. So we'll see where that leads. But they're still a very talented team. 2, I still have the Eagles. It wasn't a pretty win, and we know that they lost to the Commanders, and last week wasn't the prettiest. But they're still a good team. I think it's just a matter of you're not going to blow out everybody every week. There's going to be some weeks where you just have to get an ugly win, and they did that. We'll see what they do tonight. Would have to think. I think that they'll beat the Packers pretty soundly. I think Green Bay's kind of at the end. I think that they might start giving up on the season there. So, and then of course the Chiefs at number 1. They're just the Chiefs winning games, doing what the Chiefs do there, and until they lose the game. They're best quarterback in the NFL, and anything other than 1 seed at this point. So the Dolphins, I think, will give them a little fight there. I think would be kind of a shocker just with where they're at in this season.
All right. Let's see. Elsewhere, World Cup going on this week. The U.S. got a draw with Wales and then a draw with England, so they need to beat Iran on Tuesday to get in. They should.
Man, I hope we can do that. I mean,
We should be able
just let
to.
us get to the knockout.
And
Yeah,
they outplayed England for
yeah,
the
they did.
last 70 minutes of that game. The first 15, 20, England looked better, but then the U.S. played better. They're just not really clinical in front of goal. They're not making that
Hmm.
last pass. They're not getting the goal. So you hope that they can find them
They
against
had some
Iran. Yeah,
opportunities.
for sure. They're
They're
there.
frustrating.
Yeah, too many
We're
dumb
always
mistakes,
been.
but they look better than they have in the past, for sure. Um,
They definitely showed up. I mean, a lot of people thought we'd get housed by England, but
yeah, and England really didn't threaten at all.
no.
Um, Couple big upsets in the tournament this week.
Yeah,
Fun
we've had them.
Saudi Arabia over Argentina. That was a huge one.
Yeah,
Argentina did bounce back and beat Mexico.
beat Mexico.
A Japan
Germany.
upset. Yeah, Germany upset Japan coming from behind. Germany did salvage a draw today against Spain, keeping their hopes to advance alive. If they had lost that game, they'd been eliminated.
Ooh,
So Germany will
That'd be
play
tough.
Costa Rica this week, and they need to win to get in and hope, I believe, that Spain beats Japan. Um,
Hmm.
so we'll see how that is. Elsewhere, let's see. Canada, rough. They've been eliminated, 2 losses. Brazil looked good in their only game so far. One of the
Hmm.
favorites, France, has already clinched their way to the knockout round. They're looking like the
Yeah.
favorites.
It was interesting seeing how long it's been since the champion advanced to the knockout round. It's been, what, 2 World Cups?
It
I was like,
has,
wow.
yeah. So France, yeah, finally the defending champs. They will go to the knockout round to try to defend their title. Let's see, and then also just a lot of good groups going on. You got Group
Yeah,
A, host Qatar. They're eliminated, but the Netherlands and Ecuador tied with 4 points apiece. Senegal's right there at 3. So going into that last group of
that's gonna be
games,
interesting.
we mentioned the U.S.'s group, and nothing's really decided there yet. The U.S.,
No,
if they win, they're in. We know that. But England, they play Wales, and they should beat Wales on paper. That's a big rivalry, though. So Wales,
right?
they'll be
Who
coming. They're
knows?
not eliminated yet. We mentioned Argentina's loss, shock loss to Saudi Arabia. They bounced back, beat Mexico. They have Poland left. That'll be a tough one, an interesting one to see who
Yeah,
wins that.
that'd be
Mexico needs a lot of help. They need to beat the Saudis pretty soundly, and then hope some other
good
things
old
fall their
goal
way.
differential.
But yeah, Mexico, one of the only teams to qualify for the knockout round so many straight years, but they haven't advanced past the round of 16, and I think since
Yeah.
'86 or something. It's been a long time.
Oof.
Yeah,
And that's not gonna sit well if they don't make it to the knockout
it
round.
is
'Cause
not.
that
Yeah, they take they really love, they get behind their national team there, and they just have not
they
been able
love,
to
yeah,
find the
they love El
success.
Tri.
Yeah. We mentioned France, they're through. Australia's in their group right behind them, surprisingly over Denmark. We mentioned that England, or excuse me, Spain, Japan, Costa Rica, and Germany group. A lot of close ones. Got Croatia, Morocco has 4 points right now. Uh,
That's,
they're ahead of Belgium even to try to get there. We mentioned Brazil. They play Switzerland tomorrow. That'll be a fun one to watch.
hmm
And then kind of got a group down there. Cristiano Ronaldo and Portugal lead their group with South Korea, Uruguay, and Ghana. So not a lot of teams that have been truly eliminated. I think only Canada and Qatar have been officially eliminated. Everybody else has got a shot. So it's
it's gonna be an interesting week.
yeah, it'll be fun when again that U.S. game is Tuesday at
Tuesday,
1
was it
Central.
noon or one?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
1 Central. Um, against Iran, a team they should beat, but they got to finish in front of goal. And
No, I gotta get some
yeah,
goals here.
Greg, you mentioned Alabama basketball had a good week. Up and down. They beat Michigan State, good win there.
Did beat Michigan State
Lost to a tough UConn team, probably
pretty
a title
soundly.
favorite. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, they cut down on the turnovers. I mean, they got back into it, but it was just too many turnovers. The shooting was off. And a tough one right now. 7 minutes left, down six in North Carolina. I mean, that'd be a huge win for the program. We'll see how it plays out.
yeah.
But
But two things from early on in the Alabama season. One, the rebounding's been great, but as Bill Walton said, who have they really played? And I don't know,
yeah,
yeah, if you've been watching games with him, he's got them.
he's a national
He
treasure.
is a national treasure, and I want to know what dispensary he goes to because it is a good one.
Oh man,
Oh
he
man,
has a good time. But the guy with him, he has a lot of patience because not everybody is there. Nobody, not everybody has the mindset to be able to work with Bill Walton on a daily basis. My goodness, it's not for
no, it
everybody.
is not, but it's got to be a wild ride.
Oh man, it's got to be a fun one.
Exactly, yeah. And the
Those
second thing,
conversations go everywhere in Bill
oh
Walton.
man, he needs to call some baseball games, man. He would fill in that time
Oh yeah,
perfectly.
filling those middle innings,
Uh huh.
boy.
But the other thing about the Alabama early season is that Brandon Miller has definitely
Man,
emerged as
he is
probably
a
the country's
beast.
best freshman, or at least one of them.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Just
definitely a one and done.
yeah, definitely one and done, but he might do some great things in this one year.
Yeah,
He's with the Tide. We hope at least. But yeah, they've been fun to watch.
big
It's a
three.
good team. They pulled within.
Big three. Cut it down to one.
There we go.
6:50 left.
Hmm.
Let's go.
But yeah, elsewhere, the NBA season keeps rolling along. Nothing really.
Yeah.
I don't think anything notable happening there.
Not overly
Yeah,
notable. No.
no. NHL season, I don't even know what's going on there. So that's about it. Yeah, we're just kind of waiting for, we'll see what happens with these championship games and
Yeah.
college. We'll see what happens with the coaching carousel.
Yeah.
That'll be
And
kind of
some interesting things there.
yeah, that'll be the big thing over this next few weeks. We'll see how much of it happens before bowl games and the early signing day, and how many teams wait to see their candidate maybe finish their season or a bowl game or what. But
Yeah.
we will move on as we do always. Greg, what has been done up real good for you this week?
It was just the Thanksgiving time, spend time with family, a lot of good food, and just getting. Sometimes, at the end of the day, you just gotta sit back, relax, and realize you have a pretty good lot of the time, though we don't always think we do.
Mm-hmm.
Just the fact you get time with your family, eat some good food. So I'd say Thanksgiving was definitely, just some reflection and just some good time with the family. So, and how about you?
Let's see. I'd say just kind of a good sports week.
Oh,
Rivalry
definitely.
week, Thanksgiving, always fun. Football day. The World Cup
Oh,
hasn't
yeah.
been as weird as you might think it was. I'm not waking up for
Yeah.
those 4 o'clock games in the morning, but the
There's been some
scheduling's been
really
pretty good. I've been looking at the schedules, and they're putting similar time zones at least. So those four
right.
o'clock games a lot have been Asian teams, and maybe
Yeah.
Eastern European teams around
Yeah.
that time
Teams that
zone.
are around that time zone. Yeah,
Exactly. So
exactly.
they've done well there. No sticking. Like the U.S. in a
At
4 a.m.
1 a.m.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I say that, I'm not afraid. I've definitely woken up for a 6 o'clock. Oh, going for that big putback dunk. Couldn't get it. But I've definitely woken up for a
Definitely.
6 o'clock English game to watch before. But 4 a.m. would be
Yeah.
a little much. But no.
I mean, if we had to do it, I mean, we could definitely do
Oh,
it.
yeah.
But
No, for sure.
don't
But
want to.
yeah, we'll take
Would like
that
to
1 o'clock
get more
spot's
sleep if
fine. That's
possible.
perfect. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's been good. And, sitting up at the hospital with the kid, they got a little TV in the room. So that's perfect. Just
Have to get some time.
showing him
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Lord knows he's got big feet enough. He might be a soccer player in his future. No, I'm serious. Feet so big. When they handed us the little footprint scan, his heel was cut
uh,
off, and I was like, "Oh, did you run out of ink?" They're like, "No, his foot was too big for the scanner." So,
Jeez. I'd be a big
I was
guy.
about to say, he might be raising like a 6'8" giant. Joked with the wife, like
Watch
maybe a
out.
future professional wrestler, and she didn't like that too much. But
Oh
we'll see.
man,
But
that's funny.
yeah, so no, yeah, it was just a good sports week, relaxing.
Oh, definitely.
You know, good to watch. Oh, what did they call there? Oh, I
Wow.
don't know about that one, but yeah. So we'll hope Alabama can finish this win against the defending champs.
That'd be huge.
We'll see what shakes out. By the time we record next week, we will know the college football playoff. That selection shows
Yeah.
at like
That'd
11
be at
Sunday
noon.
morning.
11 at
Yeah.
noon. Yeah.
So
We'll know that. That'll give us some good talking points.
yeah, we'll have that, and then we'll try to figure out what we'll talk about in between then and the playoffs. But Greg, buddy,
Guess we'll have more of an NFL focus.
exactly. Yeah, maybe I paid a little more attention to the hoops. But
The hoops. So yeah.
Greg, as always, buddy, keep it done up real good out there. Have a good one. We'll see you next
Sure.
week.
You too. Will do. Thank you.